Hi, everyone. I'm Jay Rosenzweig, and I'm the owner and president of birthparentfinder.com. And we have a very special Zoom meeting, a meet and greet today with Rebecca. Rebecca Dino is one of our contest winners from our
Hello.
holiday contest, where 3 people filled out our form, and we picked those people to do their case pro bono. And Rebecca was one of our winners, and her case is finally solved, 99%.
Mhm.
Right, Rebecca? And
Yes, how awesome.
and I don't want to get into the full story right this second, but on the Zoom call with us, we have Robert Zumbro. This is her maternal uncle. He lives in Ohio, and he was kind enough to join us today. And he is meeting Rebecca for the very first time. So say hi to your Uncle Robert.
Hi, Uncle Robert.
Hello.
And they
Hi.
did have the opportunity to speak on the phone briefly the other day. And this is also Rebecca's birthday. It's a big one. I won't even say what it is. That's up to you if you want to tell everyone how old you are. But this is your birthday.
I'm the big 4-0. I'm the big 4-0.
Right.
I
Rebecca,
wish.
so her twin sister was unable to be with us today, but obviously it's her 40th birthday too. And also we have on the Zoom call, we have Isabel Rohr. We call her Izzy. Izzy is the one who solved this case using DNA results. So thank Izzy for getting everyone together here, because it's basically she's the one who
Thank you
did it.
so much. You're
Great job.
awesome.
Pleasure.
Mhm.
So
Unbelievable.
You're
what I'd
awesome.
like to start out by saying is that this was not an easy case to solve. I honestly think we spent over 40 hours on it. I
Wow.
don't keep track, but I know Izzy. Lizzie, how many hours did you spend on it alone?
I would say at least 12, if not more, 15
Wow.
maybe.
Okay, so briefly, in a nutshell, I know this is a very long story. So this is what I was given. I was given the fact that Rebecca and her sister were adopted at birth in Los Angeles County, and neither one of them knew anything about their birth family at all. Nothing. They had no information whatsoever. Nothing other than where they were born and the day they were born. So I took that information and I was able to find out Rebecca's birth mother's last name, which was Zumbro, which is Robert's last name. And then I was able to find out the birth father's last name, which is it's through the California birth records. That's all we were able to get. We're not going to get anything else. And it showed the birth father's last name was Norris. So we have Norris and we have Zumbro and nothing else. So that's when I told Rebecca she needed to take an ancestry DNA test. So Rebecca
Great.
took the test in December, got the results back over last weekend, was it?
Yeah.
And it showed a first cousin. I said, "This is fantastic, a first cousin, wonderful." By the way, there were no Zumbros this time whatsoever. So I contacted the first cousin because she actually put her name on there. I was able to track her down in upstate Michigan. Tracked her down, and she says, "Well, guess what?" I go, "What?" She goes, "I was also adopted, and I know nothing about my birth family." So we're back to square one. And honestly, I didn't know if she was on the birth mother side or the birth father side, because I'm thinking in my head that the birth father may have been from California.
Right.
Remember, I know nothing about the Zumbros at this point. I don't know the story yet until I talk to Robert. So this is where I brought in Izzy. Okay. And I mind you, I don't know anything about Robert Zumbro or the Norris family until after I talk to Izzy. So let's start out with what Izzy did. And I'm going to go to you, Izzy. Tell them what you did to find the Zumbros.
So the first thing you do with anyone's DNA is you just take the very top matches, like that first cousin that Jay was talking about, anybody that's, first cousin, second cousin, maybe not so much third or fourth yet, but you take those matches and you figure out who they are. You either talk to them or just kind of see if they have the family tree already posted, like on ancestry.com. And then you build their tree or trace their tree, their direct line, right? Maybe 3 or 4 generations back, as far as you can get.
Wow.
And then as you start building those matches out, you'll start seeing names, last names repeat, hopefully. If the records are right and if the records are there, you'll start to see names repeat. And as soon as you find an ancestor that 2 of, let's say, your DNA matches, Rebecca, that 2 of your DNA matches have an ancestor in common, then we call that the most common recent ancestor, okay? Which means you would likely descend from that person also.
Okay.
So then you just start collecting these ancestors and they start sorting themselves into different sides of your family. So I was asked to find your mother first by Jay. And so I knew who to look at to pull out your maternal family members from Ancestry DNA. Okay, so I find a couple of recent ancestors, and then I just start walking those trees forward, and eventually you're going to be there. I mean, you can't see that on like the California birth records because it doesn't give, names of your parents, but I can see based on how much DNA is shared between all these people. The math only works, one way if you have enough close matches. So I was able to see exactly who should be your mother. And then after that makes it a lot easier to find the other parent, because especially since I had Norris to go with and I had Sombro to go with, to work off of. So then I
tell her what you, at that point, what you relayed to me.
Which is what specifically?
About the Zumbros.
Let's see, I'll pull up the tree.
You want me to screen share?
No, I've got it. I just want to make sure. I mean, you can if you want to.
you want to? Well, we can. I mean, I could.
Meaning that there were sisters. Is that what you're saying? That there was a
So
family that had several siblings.
You can show the.
I don't want to show actual names. I'd rather.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Not a
because
problem.
there's other, living people on there who might not like to have their identity. So
Revealed.
right. So I think what you're saying is that I had found the family, sort of the family unit that your mother would be in, right? So if you have a lot of siblings, you're gonna in a family, and one of them, you're the child of one of them. I might not be able to tell which one of those siblings is your parent just from DNA alone, unless I have even closer matches.
Right.
So that's what we do is I say, okay, this family had just, for example, three sons and 3 daughters. And in that situation, we just start calling, we look up who these people are and start, that's what Jay does so well, is talk to people and see, what the story might be. So we narrowed it down to to your mother and her 2 sisters. And then that's how we were able to ID your mom.
So at that point.
That's so interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at that point, the 3 sisters, based on what we looked in records, 2 of the sisters were alive and 1 wasn't. And we honestly were not hoping it was the one that's not alive, because she died at age 29. And then I called Jesse Zumbro, Robert's son, not knowing it was Robert's son, and he put me in contact with Robert. Robert is your birth mother's brother, and Robert told me the whole story. So Robert, you want to tell the story from just in a nutshell about what you told me on the phone, what happened to her birth mother, and the rest of the story.
Well, what happened to her birth mother is she was a young girl, 14, when her mother passed away, our mother. And so I tried to raise her. My sister tried to raise her, and she got into her teens there, 15, 16, and she was definitely hard to get along with, as most teens are. I was one. Then hold on.
No, it's okay. 100% understand. This is very hard for him, Rebecca.
See that.
And she went to live with Kathy. Then
I'm the wife.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Where's Rebecca?
here.
Hi.
Hi.
We're so excited for you. Can
Thank
I talk
you.
for Robert? Can I talk for Robert? He's overwhelmed.
100%. Go ahead.
He's our big teddy bear. Jackie. And then
He's awesome.
he is awesome. I found that out 35 years ago.
That's great.
Okay.
Can you talk now?
I think.
Go.
But anyway, so
Take it from here.
all this stuff comes together now that all this stuff has been brought up again. But I talked to Kathy too in length, and then when Jackie was living with her, she was being an ornery teenager as she was with me, and she but like I said, she went through a lot. Her mom was the best thing to her, or the closest thing. And when she passed away, it just kind of fell apart there. And so she was kind of a lost girl for a while. And anyway, when she lived with Kathy, and she started going out and raising trouble or hell or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, then some guy, which I think is your father, showed up at the door one day, and Kathy had words for him, and I slammed the door in his face, and he left, and that was, she thought, the end of that. But Jackie got mad. She left the house, and she didn't see her again until she come back from California. She went to California. I know she went out there with my brother Johnny, and I think they stayed with my older brother Butch, and they lived there for a short while, I believe, maybe a year or so. I don't think it was much more than that. And then I knew she had 2 twins, which me and my first wife at that time, when she came back and I knew about this, that kind of irritated me because we really wanted to have kids and we couldn't because of her. And but anyway, that's the way that went. She contracted AIDS by blood transfusions she received, but she had a C-section when she had the girls, and which they didn't test for that stuff back then. And so that was that. So then it was she was so she lived a good many years. And the good thing out of the whole thing, if there's anything good about that, is the man she was with when she came back, he had never contracted it at all. So, which is good. But it's unfortunate she died as such a young lady. But other than that, she was a good girl. I mean, up till she went to this rebellious stage, which I think a lot of teenagers do. I know I did. I think.
Yeah.
Thank God my son didn't. I'm not patting him on the back or anything, but he was always kind of went with the flow, and that would help me out. But I've had rebellious ones. My stepson, he is about the most rebellious person I think I ever met. And but what is he now? 30? He's 40. He's the same age you are. And boy, he settled down. He kind of came to his senses and figured out the way things work, and he's come along a long way, but he's doing good. But anyway, no, she was a good kid, but I mean, she got to her teenage years, and I'm sure her mom, when her mom passed away, it threw a big wrench in it, and we were all young. I mean, I was only 19, and I was taking care of my mom with cancer, and
So Robert, let me interject here. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what did your mom pass away from?
ovarian cancer. Something to do with her woman parts. I can't.
I understand it may have been cervical cancer.
So, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is interesting because Rebecca, you battled with that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in the end of 2017, 2018. And it was just by a fluke. I had a pap smear. It came back irregular. They did a biopsy and, all the steps. And I went and had a LEAP procedure done, and they were able to remove it. And I had spoke to Angela a couple of days ago, and let her know everything that was going on and what I found out. And she also had cervical cancer.
So these are things that are very important to know if you have
Right.
your medical history when you're adopted, and you didn't have any of that. And thank God you both are okay. It's a blessing. It really is. So Robert, let me ask you this. I believe it was Monday I called you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
When I made that phone call to you and you picked up the phone and I told you all about this, what did you feel at that point? I mean, did you think it was real? Did you think somebody was messing with you? I mean,
I'm talking.
how does this, because I know you told me that this is something that you've never stopped thinking about the girls.
Right.
So this moment right now between you and Rebecca, how does this make you feel? I'm
Very
sorry to put
good.
you on the spot, but
Oh, very good.
Did you ever
Very-
think this
very
would
happy.
happen?
Always wondered about this situation. It's never stopped gnawing at him or his whole life.
Yeah, I always wondered about him.
He wanted the girls and Jackie said, it's too late. Because Robert wanted them so bad. The children, we didn't know what they were, if they're boys or girls.
So I
And,
showed Rebecca a picture, the pictures that you sent me, Rebecca saw them, and the resemblance is just unbelievable.
Yep,
Yeah, and that's something.
yep.
It is. And I'm just so happy this connection was made. And we'll move on to the next set of the stories here with the Norris family, and I won't mention the names of the brothers. We'll keep that quiet for
Yeah.
now. But
I do remember them as I think back.
so it's all coming now. This was 1980. This was around the summer of 1980, from obviously because you were born in February of 81. So all Izzy had was the last names do help. They really did in this case. It saved us time a little bit. So Izzy
lot.
had the
A lot of
name
time.
Norris and nothing else. So Izzy, go ahead and tell us how you found the three brothers, who one of them is the birth father.
Right. So since I knew who your mother was at this point, I could go back to your DNA matches and obviously put aside the ones that would be on your maternal side and just focus on your paternal matches. And you had a couple of matches on Ancestry that I had already built out some pretty extensive trees for their families. And so as soon as I saw their trees, I could see the name Norris in one of them. There was one really big tree. And so I knew that that's how the two of you were related, right? This match with the big tree with Norris's in it. It had to be, right? I mean, there's a possibility it wasn't, but that is pretty slim. So
Always a possibility.
right, and you got to keep an open mind with everything when it comes to this. So I start tracing up their Norris line, and then I'm building out other matches, as I mentioned before, just taking generation by generation. We're in the early 1800s easy, right? To find a common ancestor, sometimes depending on how far, how distant of a relationship your DNA matches to you, sometimes you have to go further than that. And sometimes that's not possible, with records. So anyway, so I found multiple branches, not just Norris's, but multiple branches that all tie back to a couple of common ancestors with you, and then brought it forward to down the Norris line again, another one, a different one. And found this huge family in Georgia. Okay, everybody was in Georgia for generations, like rural Georgia. Okay, and I'm narrowing it down and calculating where you could fit. And I see that there's one branch, one tiny little, you can think of like branches on a tree limb, literally, one little twig branched out to Michigan. One.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then I know at this point that it has to be one of three brothers in this one generation, because the math only works with them. So obviously I can't know any further than that, but I know for sure one of them is it. So that's how that worked.
So then she gave me the names of the brothers, and I used my data to get their contact information. So I contacted the one that's closest to your birth mother's age, which was, she was born in 63. So I contacted the one born right around that time. And he was very, very nice to me. And he did not remember anyone fitting the description of your birth mother. He said it couldn't have been him, more than likely, that it could have possibly been his older brother, who was 10 years older than him. Mind you,
That'd be it.
yeah, mind you, she was 16 at the time. So this guy was probably 26 at the time. So we don't know anything. We don't know anything. Yeah. So he contacts his brother, and his brother says, "What was the woman's name?" And he says, "It was Jackie." He goes, "Well, I was with a Jackie about that time for about a week, but I never had relations with her." So there's another coincidence, right? And then he calls back his brother and he says, "Who are you talking to? who is this guy? How do you get my information? He's catfishing. He wants money. And his brother said, no, he knows the whole family story. This is real. He got this through DNA and research. And the other brother I was talking to, really, he got it completely. He was just really friendly, totally got it. And by the way, I sent him a DNA test yesterday. He's going to take a DNA test to show who the father is, who your father is, Rebecca. We won't know that for 2 months because ancestry results come back about 8 to 10 weeks. But your birth father is one of those Norris brothers. And more than likely, it's the middle one. And one more thing, I did speak with your Aunt Kathy, who unfortunately couldn't be on this call today. That's Robert's sister, who we talked about earlier. Aunt Kathy confirmed that what Robert just said, that the guy shows up at the door. She says, this guy's too old for you. Slams a door in his face. Turns out the description she gave me of that guy was a guy about 10 years older than her, tall, slender, dark hair. I showed her the picture of that family, and she says, it's definitely one of those guys. Obviously, this is a long time ago. This is 41 years ago, but we definitely have the right family based on what Izzy tells us, based on the facts and the fact that your birth mother used Norris in her birth record. We are 100% sure it's one of those three brothers, more than likely the middle one. And the DNA is going to show it when the younger brother takes the test. So that's the whole story in a nutshell. I don't think we left anything out. There is one thing I'd like to say about the brother. The sad part is that the brother Johnny came out with Jackie to California, right? They hitchhiked apparently, right? From Detroit all the way to California. Is that right?
So, yep.
Apparently they got separated, and Johnny, during that time, I don't know if it was accidental or what, he got into a fight in a bar or outside a bar and killed someone, murdered someone, a third-year law student, served 35 years in San Quentin for second-degree murder. And that story is, you can find it on the internet. And he made a few appeals. He got out a couple years ago. He probably knows who the birth father is, but the thing is, he's not locatable at this time. He's probably in a nursing home, from what I understand, from what Robert said. So it doesn't matter. The DNA is going to show us who your birth father is. I don't think you care at this point. Tell me if I'm wrong, but have we given you the answers you want?
All of them. And you know what is weird is I don't know, I guess most people that are adopted, most children naturally would want to know both parents. It's always just been, I want to know who my mother was. I've never really even taken time to think or wonder about who my father was, and I'm not sure why that is, but it doesn't, at this point it doesn't matter either way. It really doesn't. I just wanted to know about my mom, really. You know, I'm not hurt if he doesn't want to be a part of my life. It's kind of understandable. It's been 40 years, you know. I definitely want a relationship with my mom's family and my Uncle Robert.
We do too.
That's a given. And one day when it's safe to travel, I'm sure you two will meet and give each other huge hugs. And I'm looking forward to the day also. Before we end this, I know this is emotional. I would like you two to say something to each other before we end this. So let's start with Robert. Robert, what would you like to say to Rebecca?
I'm just happy for you. Find us.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you sometime.
I can't wait. This
And
is
then maybe
everything
someday you
I've
can come
ever
out
wanted.
for her wedding too, right, Rebecca?
Definitely.
Yeah, invite me to the wedding. I'll
Definitely.
come.
I just want to, okay. I just want to thank you, Uncle Robert, from the bottom of my heart. And I know if my sister was here, she would say the same. For always wondering and thinking about us.
Yep. It's always been there.
It felt like we were forgotten. You know,
You weren't forgotten at all.
So,
Not by me.
it feels good to know that.
Yep.
so Rebecca,
Thank you.
we're going to end this in a
Look
couple
forward to seeing
seconds.
you someday.
What would you like to say about this whole experience?
I look forward to it.
What this whole experience from the time you won this contest to
That,
now?
well, first of all, thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you. I don't even know. This has gone past my wildest dreams. I didn't even ever imagine that. First, you did it so quickly and so thoroughly, and you held my hand every step of the way. You made me feel comfortable, and I remember speaking with Linda, the basically like your recruiters, and I was excited, and then I just realized I couldn't financially do it, you know, and it was kind of frustrating because I got so close, and then I was like, oh well, this isn't gonna work out, you know. And when she had texted me and let me know about the contest, she told me, I hope you don't mind, but I entered your name, and I've already done it. I didn't ask you, but if it's okay, you know. And I ended up winning, and I was bawling my eyes out when they announced it on Instagram. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. This
That's
is
so
like a
great.
dream come true. And even though my mom's gone, she's with me. I know she is. I mean, my youngest daughter's name is Jacqueline, spelled exactly the same way as my mom, you know. And I just it was meant to be. You guys made it possible, and I appreciate that immensely.
And thank you so much. I'm glad that you were one of our winners. We've had Tamara Jameson, her case was solved back in December. We did a Zoom with her and her father where she forgave her father for what he did to her mother. And we have one more story that is still going on. We're just waiting for someone to take a DNA test to confirm everything. And I just want to thank Izzy for coming on our team. And she has been on our team for 1 week. Is that right?
Yeah, 1 week.
And I brought her on for
I haven't
several
done
reasons.
this for just
One,
a
to
week.
help on
but-
these types of cases. And she's
Right,
also
right.
doing a lot for us media wise. And she's going to be with us for a long time. And on that note, we will see you guys again. And I hope to see you, Robert, when it's safe for Rebecca to have her wedding.
Absolutely.
And then
I'll
if
be
you get
there.
out here, and then maybe we'll all go if that's okay. And
That would be perfect.
right. And I just hope everyone has have a great, safe weekend. And we'll talk to everyone again real soon. Bye-bye,
Bye,
everyone.